What's up, everyone, and welcome to ClearTalk. So, in today's video, we're going to talk about day one of the DNC. So, strap in, and thank you very much for coming in and watching this. If you are, consider subscribing, like, share, all that good stuff. Helps me out, helps the channel out to help it grow, and get more people into the conversation and give me more to talk about. Although there's plenty of stuff, really to talk about, especially right now. But but yeah, thank you very much and much appreciated if you do. So yes, last night was night one of the DNC. Um, it was supposed to start at 6 o'clock. But there was a little bit of a delay, about 20 minutes or so, for trying to get people in. There was, um, and the biggest reason why for that was the fact that there was um, pro-Palestinian um, protesters and stuff outside the arena, all through the streets and stuff. It was thousands of them. That which is good to see. I'm glad that they are there. There was I think a moment where they were contemplating not actually protesting the DNC, like a few days before. Uh, but then ultimately came to the decision that they just had to, and I agree. I think they did have to, because the the need for the Democratic Party to hear and see and um, the demand for something to happen in Gaza is very important. Um, eh, to help push more, even if it's just to help push Kamala herself in a better direction, um, on this issue, on that particular issue, for Gaza, Israel, and the Middle East in broad, uh, even in the issues with Iran and everything else. That certainly needs to be addressed. Because we've had last week and stuff, the ceasefire talks and stuff going on. Whatever. I'm going to do a video on, with an update on that too after this video. But so there's plenty of stuff, plenty of reason, and significant reason why protesters would be there, and to protest and give, you know uh, push that side of the discussion on the DNC, and put that pressure there. And because of that, it was causing a lot of traffic issues, people getting to the arena and stuff like that. So it was clear at the very beginning of the conference that the crowd size was very minimal. There was only a few people there. Of course, across the base floor and the lower levels, and of course that immediately stoked this huge thing across social media in the Republican sphere, about crowd size, which is just such a ridiculous thing to talk about. Because, and it's just really because they want to negate against the whole idea of there being an energy and movement going right now for the Democratic Party. It's just to undermine that. But and they were manipulating photos showing, like comparison photos of like the early, moments of the DNC, put a photo of like that, and then turn around and put a photo of the RNC at its like max, and saying, oh, here's the difference, we're packed in this, here, and they don't have anybody there, which was just totally manipulative. As the night grew on, particularly by the time that Kamala actually come on stage, which I think was roughly about an hour or so in, the place was packed. And and then and it continued to even get more and more packed to the point that by the time before Biden took the stage at the end, uh, they were even having issues. Like they were pulling some media people and stuff back away from the stage and stuff, and because they were trying to allow some delegates and stuff to actually get in there, but they were having issues and pulling them and keeping them from going in because they were worried about the size amount of people that were in there. So some people that couldn't even get cleared access in by the time, people that, because a lot of people don't are not even really that concerned with getting there at the very beginning of the night, because you have a whole lot of just starter things going on. People that are just associated to the party, or like um, governors, some senators, and things like that have the little speeches, and then they're doing, you know, things that just to get things going and whatever, talk about the history of the Democratic Party, and or historical things that are going on. And so a lot of people are not really that concerned with getting there like perfectly on time. And like I said, furthermore, there was so much traffic issues because of the protesters that they couldn't get there on time even if they wanted to. Um, so, but majority of the people, especially a lot of delegates and stuff like that, were trying to get there at least by the time Biden took the stage. Even by the time Hillary took the stage, because you had her go before as well. Um, and so there was there was still people trying to even get in there by that time. But it was even packed to the point that some were not even getting access in. Now, how many that is, I don't know. No, it could just been a few, or it could have been quite a few. I don't know, a bunch. I don't really know. But the arena that they were in, the Chicago arena that they were in, has a capacity of 23,000, or maybe a little bit over that, 20, almost 24. Um, and in comparison, just as far as a raw number capacity, the RNC arena was a capacity of 1,800. So there was already a 5,000 capacity difference between the RNC arena and the DNC arena. So take that with what you want. The RNC was packed as well. At moments, just both starter nights clearly fluctuated. All right, there was pictures that after the fact of all these conservative Republican pushing out this agenda that the DNC is, rest in peace, they're done, blah blah blah, because nobody showed up, kind of shit. There was pictures that were put up, clearly showing that the RNC at the very beginning of the night also had very few people there. It's just the way things work. Okay, it's not like there's a solid everybody is there all at once, and then they stay there the whole, like, there's a fluctuation of people coming in and out. People who want to hear certain people speak, people who don't want to hear certain people speak, they go out, whatever. I mean, this is hours long. You've got refreshments and things, like people get up and get out, and they fluctuate in and out based on whether they're there for certain people or not. Don't show up to a certain point because of certain people. So the argument there is just ridiculous. Either way, it's just a stupid thing to make a big deal about in the first place. But like I said, on a raw number, there was 5,000 people difference. Now the RNC claimed that they were expectations of up to 20,000 people. I don't know how much the arena there would have allowed for overcapacity, um, over the 18, whether they did or not, I don't really know. Um, But understandably, DNC was at 23. It was packed. And by the time Biden took the stage, there were reports of people not being allowed in um, to the floor. So take that with what you want. Whether it was at full 23,000 capacity, I don't know. But there was a shit ton of people there. Okay. The place was packed. The crowd was loud. I watched, I skimmed through a lot of it. I did not watch a lot of the speeches. I would skim through certain and maybe watch 30 seconds to a minute of a couple people. The main ones I actually centered on. Uh, I actually did watch all through AOC's speech because she is particularly one of my favorites. Um, and just because I just like her as a general person, I think she's a good person, and I do like her I like her political um, her policy advocation. I like what she stands for. There's been clearly moments where I have been disappointed with her along, and but not just her, along like the whole squad and whole progressive um, uh, group in in the house and stuff like that, by not pushing more on certain issues or votes and things like that. I've been disappointed, or even in disappointed in how they went about um, endorsements and stuff like that in the past, that I thought was a little shallow or um, didn't press for uh, uh, or advocate for things to happen for those endorsements. They were just sort of seemingly freely given. Maybe they weren't, maybe there was stuff in the background that was promised, but we just didn't know about it. But nevertheless, it seemed that there have been moments where I've certainly disagreed with her, or, at the very least was disappointed in things that, directions that she did or things that she did. But as far as policy is concerned, I, for the most part, agree with most of her policies. And I do like listening to her speak. I think she's very clear, very concise, and does a good job of speaking. And last night she did not fall short. She was absolutely great. Gave a fired up, riveting speech that had the whole place going wild. Her whole cadence and things like that she does very well. How she speaks through things. She gets to the point. She's kind of quick. It's not boring. um, but now there's been some apparently rhetoric from the Republicans that she was giving new accents and stuff, which is something apparently they've tried to argue before on her. At certain moments, she would change her accent or something. I never really noticed it. I did notice at one point, the specific point that they're saying that she changed her accent. She just got very aggressive in that moment. Um, but anybody, if they want to, can alter their voice for dramatic effect on certain things if they want. Like, I don't really see that as a changing of accent. It's just uh, doing a show. I mean, that's what she's there. Really, she's giving a speech, but a part of a speech, to make it interesting, you got to kind of make it into a show. It's like telling a story or something like that. You alter characters' voices or whatever to give a spiciness to it, to make it more interesting. If she's wanting to press on a certain thing, you there's nothing wrong with changing your voice a little bit, to heighten or make something stand out more than it just would regularly. So I really don't understand the argument here. I think it's just silly and just uh, some just very, like, I don't know, like you as usual, just stupid arguments. Republicans always want to make controversies out of the most stupidest things. It doesn't make any sense. just petty ass stuff that has nothing to do with the whole event, or nothing to do with policy, and nothing to do with who she is or what she does, as her position of power or whatever in Washington. Like it's ridiculous. Anyways, but she gave a good speech. After her was Hillary. I pushed myself through about 5 minutes of her speech. But honestly, I absolutely can't stand Hillary Clinton. So it that was as far as I could get. I fast forwarded toward the end of her speech to hear how she ended it. Um, but outside of that, I ignored a lot of it. And then you had the next big one that I paid attention to was Jill Biden. I watched through her speech, and then watched their daughter get up there and do her speech, um, in introducing Joe Biden to the stage. All of those were really good. I think they did a good job. That was the first time I really saw the daughter. I didn't, and she did a great job. I had nothing wrong with it. Introduced him very well. He came out there. Joe did his whole thing. It was to end out the night. It was roughly somewhere in the ballpark of about 50 minutes or so, 55 minutes of a speech, 45 to 50, something like that. A lot longer than I actually expected him to go. And it was really kind of late when I was watching it, so I was tired, and even towards the end of his speech, I kind of started nodding off. Because honestly, Joe Biden is not that riveting of a speaker, especially at this point where he's kind of has his moments of slowness. Now, credit, he did have a somewhat spunkiness to him, or at least he projected himself very well, especially in the first half of the speech. Um, he seemed wide awake. He seemed, he was coming across well enough, um, and and had the crowd going crazy. There was clearly throughout the entire night a this kind of pandering to him, this or adoration towards him. Pretty much every speaker, to some degree, made an effort to um, thank him for his what he's done for the country, or thank him for his presidency, thank for all he has done in his career. It was a little weird at some moments, because it almost felt like they know something, like he's you know almost like he's on his deathbed. It was a weird way that it was just constantly like hit by everybody. um it and I don't know, but I think it was just clearly them trying to pay respect to what he has done in his career, and as president. Now, we there's plenty to argue and debate on things that he has not done very well, and clearly here, of recent, especially with the whole Gaza thing, I think he's completely atrocious on it. But you know, sure, fine, give him respect and adoration for his overall career and life, or whatever, and what he accomplished. Sure, respect. He did the thing, and he can go out. Some are going to blind themselves to the whole Gaza issue, and just look and probably look at that as just a little smidget on his resume that doesn't look good, but and glorify him for everything else. I particularly think that is enough to ruin him. I think what has happened over the past 10 months, uh, and what or lack of what has happened, um, uh, trying to bring it to an end, or whatever, uh, has been enough, in my opinion, to tarnish his whole legacy. And I think for a lot of people, that will be the legacy that's left. So it is what it is. But he gave his speech, and from my understanding, he's not going to be there the rest of the week. He's going to go back to the Washington and do his thing. Um, but overall, there was a lot of energy, a lot of excitement, a lot of um, um, it, there's certainly something going on within the party with and um, I feel that uh, coming out of this, there's certainly probably going to be a huge bump in the polls for Kamala and Walls. And I think that depending upon, of course, how things go, but we've got, and that was just night one. You've got, I think, Obama is speaking tonight. And so that will be, that will probably be pretty big, um, whatever. I will listen to it. Well, I'll try to skim through just like I did. I'm not gonna watch the whole thing. It's just not my jam. But I will skim through and try to hit on certain people um, um, and talk about that again tomorrow. How I feel night two went. I'm gonna try to do this for every day. Um, and uh, yeah, I think I think that clearly the momentum is going good. You had Trump tried to do a thing in Pennsylvania yesterday to counter the convention. Um, and from what I understand, it was just pretty much the same old, same old. He tried apparently to stay on script for a little bit, but as he did in Montana, he went off script and just started doing his um, current um, arguments against Kamala, hitting her on the race issue and that he seems to be throwing around and her laugh and all this just silly petty crap that is just, you know, ridiculous. Um JD Vance apparently did an event somewhere else. I think they're trying to do an event tonight somewhere. Uh that's been also something that's kind of odd. Well, I don't know if it's odd, but uh, is Trump's doing an event somewhere, JD's doing an event somewhere else. They are coming together for one event that they're going to do together. I don't know if it's tonight's event or later on this week, but one of them they're coming together to do, and then they're splitting back off again. Um, I don't know if it's a way of looking at it as covering more ground, but for me it doesn't really look too unifying either. Um, I feel like it would look better for them to do more together than separate. And I would even argue that the same for, Kamala and Walls. I think they should do the same thing. I think it looks more unifying, looks more, like you are a team. And that's one thing I've found that's been kind of hard to see when it comes to Trump and Vance is that they don't really come off as a team. In my, just looking at them, Trump clearly has a hard time even talking about Vance. Um, or giving him any kind of like validity. um of course Trump only wants to talk about himself, so that is what it is. Vance just had to live with that. But anyways, but it's not going, it's their way of trying to counter. It's not going to it's not going to pull away though, not the people that they need. Because those who are say on the fence or whatever, more or less, if they're trying to figure out whether or not they want to go one direction or another, then they probably tuned into the RNC. Now they're tuning into the DNC to try to make like differentiate between the two and make a decision. They're not going to pay attention to what Trump's doing at a rally somewhere when they could look at any of his freaking rallies anywhere and see what he does. He does the same rap every rally. It doesn't matter. They've already probably watched him at RNC, so now they're going to concentrate on DNC. So only thing he's going to get out of this is his own base, which he most of the time only gets anyways. So, and what he panders to the most. So and that's the issue that I see with Trump in the first place and the Republican Party and their strategy is they only pander really to their own base, people that are already going to vote for them. It's like you're not doing anything. Yeah, I mean, you could, I mean, yeah, there's an argument that you're keeping them engaged, but they're already engaged. So you're not, it's not like because you don't, you know, constantly pander to them, suddenly they're going to be like, "Oh, you don't love me anymore. I'm not going to vote for you." They're obsessed with you. They see you as a god, so it's they're going to vote for you. So I don't know why that has seemed so construct in their like campaign strategy. I don't know, but anyway, they don't seem to care as much about which, like I said in yesterday's video, Trump already argues that he doesn't need the votes of his own people. So whatever that's supposed to mean. But anyways, yeah, DNC was energetic the day one. So we'll see as it goes, continue throughout the week. It didn't really seem that there was much as far as policy, or at least anything that we don't know yet. Um, they were pretty much just sort of backing on what was released, which I did a video on the economic policies that were released last Friday. So if you didn't see that, check that out. That was right before this video. I did that yesterday. So yeah, that's pretty much all it seemed like night one was about, was kind of just marking and hitting on those. Now, I don't know whether or not we'll see some more policy be revealed throughout the week. That was something that I thought might happen. I think it would be a good idea if it did happen, but I'm not sure whether it will. But if it does, we'll talk about it. So thank you very much for joining me. And if you like this content, consider subscribing like I asked earlier at the beginning. It helps out a lot. And comment, let me know what you think. Let me know what you thought of night one if you paid attention. Let me know if you think the excitement and energy was there as I'm speaking about. Or do you thought it was even more? Am I not giving it enough credit? Am I giving it too much credit? Uh, what do you think about the controversy of crowd size and all that kind of weirdness? Anyways, thank you very much, and until next time, this has been Clear Talk. Peace. I'm out.